Okay, time to look back at India versus England, a series review and the report card. 3-1, it's a good result, 3-1. But when you look at what happened in test matches number 2, 3 and 4, you think, how on earth did England manage to win that first test? To be honest, they played well. They used the conditions better. The track favored them. That was a very good toss to win. And as a result, the track favored them. But the fear that I had at the start of the series was probably true, which is that was still a little bit of an afterglow of one of the great series wins in the history of Indian cricket in Australia, what India did there. And I think Ravi Shastri was right. They need a little more break to just let that series sink and get out of the system before they got into something new. Okay, time for, I don't know why, every time I do the series, I do the report card, my fingers start to go like this. Okay, here is the list that I've got. Here's the list. Okay, right. Who do we start with? Akshar Patel, 27 wickets at 10.57. You could say the tracks favored him, but you always judge a bowler or any cricketer by what he did in the conditions that were offered to him. I mean, if there were different conditions, you don't know. And in the conditions that were offered, Akshar's pace, his accuracy, we knew those were his two strengths, stood him in really good stead. Did we think at the start of the series Akshar would get 27 wickets? Absolutely not. We knew him as a very steady bowler, but he surpassed all expectations. He was magnificent. He handled the pressure of being a test match player, something he would have wanted to do for a long time. His accuracy, he was getting the ball to turn. He did everything that was asked of him. And he gets a 9 out of 10, no doubt at all in my mind. Now at the other end, he had one of India's all-time greats. So what about Ravichandran Ashwin? 32 wickets at 14.7, 189 runs at 31 with a century. Another player of the series tournament, Ravichandran Ashwin did everything that was asked of him. Benefited enormously from having somebody like Akshar Patel at the other end, but I'm delighted his batting started to come through a lot more. But just his guile, I mean, those 2 wickets of Ollie Pope will go down in memory for a long time. But also remember, kept getting Stokes out, kept getting Root out. That's what your lead bowler has to do. Your lead bowler has to attack the lead batsman of the opposition. And so for everything that he did, Ravichandran Ashwin in this series is 9.5 in my book. Okay, let's go along. We're going along to another senior bowler, Jimmy Anderson. I always thought, and this was still a few years ago, that Anderson was at his best in England, struggled on the subcontinent a little bit, struggled in Australia, not enough swing there for him. Even in this series, 3 matches, 8 wickets. Yeah, was it a great series? Now let's look beyond the numbers. 38 years old in that last test match in Ahmedabad, he ran in. Every time he was picked, he did the job that his captain asked of him. And watching Anderson in this series was wonderful. I mean, you couldn't take your eyes off. You didn't know what he was going to do next. There wasn't as much reverse as he would have liked. He was getting the ball to swing, very accurate, kept coming at everybody. Maybe he should have had a few more wickets, but he did everything. 7.5 for Jimmy Anderson. Okay, let's go on. What have we got? Rishabh Pant, 270 runs at 54. When India needed it, he got a 90. And when the chips were down, he got 100. Let's look at the scores at which he came into bat in those tests. 73 for 4 in Chennai, got a 90. 80 for 4 in Ahmedabad with a match in the balance. 120 for 5, 140 for 6. That century in Ahmedabad in the second test was one that I will remember for a very, very long time. Rishabh Pant, the batsman at number 6, wonderful. But there was another Rishabh Pant. Rishabh Pant's the keeper. And I've been critical. Everybody has been critical. I'm sure he's been critical himself. And Ravi Shastri did say that they had some very strong words with Rishabh Pant and how hard he's worked at it. His keeping went from here to I've gone beyond the screen as well and I'm still rising. His keeping was the biggest revelation. This was not Rishabh Pant, the keeper that we knew and were critical of. This was Rishabh Pant, the hard-working keeper who got his gloves behind the ball. Was so much fun to see. So this was the second Rishabh Pant. It was the third Rishabh Pant. I won't talk about his post-match presentation. That was just a lot of good fun. So Rishabh Pant, 9.5 for Rishabh Pant. I thought he was magnificent. I actually think Rishabh Pant should have been in contention for player of the series in this tournament. It's just that Ashwin was the match winner, so it went Ashwin's way. Okay, let's move on to a player I've always enjoyed, a person I've enjoyed. I thought as a captain, he was fantastic in Australia, someone who's a phenomenal team player. Seems to score runs when the team needs him, but was a little shy of runs in this series. I'll remember Ajinkya Rahane in this series for that 67 that he made in Chennai, right? Let's look at that. A partnership of 162 with Rohit Sharma that changed the course of that test match. But otherwise, 112 at 18.66. Ajinkya Rahane is far too good a player to be delivering those numbers, maybe 5.5. For Rahane. Okay, let's move on now to Ben Stokes is the name I've been thrown. 203 runs at 25.375 wickets at 30.66, scored 82 on a really good batting surface, looked excellent, and I thought in Ahmedabad his 55 made him look just a fantastic player. Then he bowled that spell. Wow, they just didn't need him to bowl that much. I don't know if it was fitness, whether he wasn't required to bowl that much, but Ben Stokes is a serious bowler who can create an impact in the game, and his performance in Ahmedabad in that searing heat was just magnificent. He needed to be backed up a little bit, but he is probably the biggest hearted English cricketer that I've seen for a long time, certainly the best in this England team on this tour. But when you're a Stokes, you're always judged by different parameters. On those parameters, 6.5 for Ben Stokes. Okay, let's move on a little quicker. Joe Root, 368 at 46, but 218 of those only came in one innings. He made 150 in the other 7, but while he was at it, he looked head and shoulders above every other England batsman. Maybe the pressures of captaincy got to him. Maybe the thought was the rotation process good. Should we have got there? Did I always get the best team I wanted? No, I don't think Joe Root got the best team for every test match, the team that he would have liked, and so I thought the pressure started to tell on him. I have no doubt in my mind that if Joe Root had more support from 1, 2 and 3, he would have produced a far better performance. He just kept coming in single digit over numbers, but Root was head and shoulders above any other England batsman, and so Joe Root gets 7.5 in my book. Okay, let's go on then to 2 prominent Indian players. Let's go to Rohit Sharma. 345 at 57.5. I asked Virat Kohli this question at the presentation, and I was delighted that he agreed that Rohit Sharma played the innings that changed the course of this series. After India were down in the first test, and then on that tricky track in Chennai, Rohit Sharma's 161 was an exhibition of skill that you'll have to travel far and wide to see. Thereafter, he kept giving the numbers, his ability to adapt as a test match batsman, average of 57. Rohit Sharma was fantastic. And I think he just brings that cool head to every situation. Rohit Sharma was 8 out of 10 in my book. Which brings us, as always, when we always do this, we end with Virat Kohli. Okay, so let's look at Virat Kohli's numbers. 172 at 28.66 250s. I did say that sometimes when you're a Root or a Stokes, you're measured by the standards that you have set. And Virat Kohli will be measured by 2 things, by the standards that he set and what did he do in this series. 2 different things, of course. 28.66, 2 half centuries. You wanted a little more from Virat Kohli. As a batsman, Virat Kohli 6 out of 10 in this series. As a leader, now there's 2 things about a leader. There's one thing that you see on the field. You see the emotion, you see the bowling changes, you see the field placements, and there's one other very important aspect of captaincy that exists, but we do not see, and that is off the field. And this team, Ashwin said they're happy. You notice that in the way they were playing. I think there is this killer instinct that's come into Indian cricket. The younger players come into the Indian team and they're doing well. It's something that is very difficult to measure, but I think on that count, Virat Kohli can be very proud of what he has done. So what do we do? Virat Kohli the captain. Virat Kohli the captain. 3-1, 8.5, 9, 8.5, 9. Give it what you will. Let's go 9 out of 10 for Virat Kohli. Excellent series win. And that means India are in that World Test Championship. And let's see. India should believe this are favorites.